So, what we see here is the life in parallel worlds. Uh, he's a yes. So, as far as Stanley is concerned, she is considered to be a classic Asian student, relentless, continuous in demands. Uh, yes. So many of the Asians, they strive. They are strive a lot in Australia. They are continuously making demands, and their lives have been described as precarious by nature, being dominated by violence, drug abuse, and isolation. So these are the vulnerable situations, the situations of precariousness, being that can force an immigrant into. Some of them they became violent, or they were thrown into the violent gangs. Then some became addicted with drugs, and some went in complete isolation. So these are the negative hardships that can fall upon an immigrant when at times of isolation. So anyway, we have to remarkably remember the title that Tan Lee earned, in spite of the others being pushed to the various negative edges and the negative margins. Young Australian of the Year in 1998. So this is something that we have to cherish, and this is really an interesting part of the success story. So she continuously strives. She, like her mother, taking inspiration from her mother, she studies really hard, and she completed her law degree in from the Australian University, and she earned the title Young Australian of the Year in 1998. She sees that her life was thrown from one piece of jigsaw to another piece of jigsaw. She has already shared with us the three different important pieces of jigsaw, and gradually she took a change within her personality. Since she was brought up by two strong women characters, she realized that all women in her neighborhood and in the community, the newly settled community, they are not as strong and confident. So she should offer a helping hands, and this is how that Tanley, as an immigrant, witnessed the birth of her Tanley as a social activist. So she started to visit the neighboring places. She started to talk about the various issues being faced by immigrants, like unemployment, then the importance of education, then the negligence of marginalized groups, disenfranchisement or the disempowerment of the marginalized groups. Here, the marginalized groups particularly refers to the immigrant community. So, but her life routines within her house continues with her grandmother and mother. Their financial situation was not much developed, but still, mother always come up with the statement: "No had never been an option. Just do it." And don't be what you are not. Yes, so they never like to even use the word no in their life. And the social exposure, regarding the social exposure, she met different people from different walks of life, and many of their lives are on the frontiers, are on the borders. But she tries to move away from the law as a career. Though she never wanted to pursue law as a career. Thus, her adventurous journey continues, and it is in this context that she introduces another piece of jigsaw. That is, let me quote: "It's okay to be an outsider because insider can collapse from the horizon." Yes. So here she brings out two aspects: outsider and insider. Who is an outsider? The immigrants are considered to be the outsiders, and the insiders are the natives of Australia. Yes. So all the immigrants, they live in Australia with the belief that it is okay to be an outsider, and this is a very powerful sentence and the presence of mind that influenced Stanley. It is okay to be an outsider because the insider can collapse from the horizon. They can attack, or they can pose any threat in in the coming days. So it is okay to live in Australia like an outsider, but they have the right to live, and whether peacefully or not is beyond the question. But still, Tanley manages to live in Australia along with her family members. So, in this context, she also brings a reference to her grandmother, who was really influenced by Confucianism. It's a philosophy of thought from China, and the language her grandmother um, spoke was the Mandarin language. So, even her grandmother also taught her the lesson. So it was her grandmother who raised her mother. So it can't be done was wrong for her grandmother. No was never recommended by her mother. It can't be done was never recommended by her grandmother. So both her grandmother and her mother, they are very positive in their approach and outlook, and no wonder Tandy has become a very a woman with positive outlook. And the death of her grandmother really troubled her. She was very upset at her grandmother's death. And Tandy's journey moved. So she went on conducting journey beyond the comfort zone. There were not actually a zone like comfort zone in Tanley's life, but her unwavering faith, her unwavering determination, her unwavering optimism pushed her beyond, and she traveled beyond the comfort zone. And there is a kind of optimism which she describes as implacable optimism, which cannot be challenged by anyone. Even the limited possibilities are encouraged by Tanley, and she was really marked by astounding courage. It can't be done was a challenge to Tandy. So she worked well each night, and later she decided to relocate to United States for better prosperity. So women as sinew or binding force. So this is the last slide, and in this slide she narrates how women characters, or how women become a binding force in Tanley's life. Sinew is the word she used. So she remembers her existence in Vietnam, as well as later from Vietnam to Australia, and now Australia to United States. There is a connecting link behind all these things, that is a boat journey. So she says that the boat journey guarantees nothing. When she started the boat journey, all the passengers, they were not having any hope that they will reach safely in Australia or to any shores of the world. But still, they are anticipating a safe journey, because this kind of anticipation can really bring out a speck of hope, a speck of change in anybody's lives. Even after being settled in Australia, her life was full of she was being surrounded by different kinds of fears. She was afraid of privileges and entitlement. No sense of entitlement was given to the people who live in Australia. I'm talking about the immigrant community. So whenever she heard about these two words, privileges and entitlement, she became really afraid. Um, anyway, she was desirous to have her own family. She says that is how she concludes her tale, that like her mother, like her grandmother, she also wishes to have a family, and she faced a lot of defeat and challenges. So even though I titled the slide as Stanley's success story, she says that she has faced several defeats, several incidents of defeat and challenges in her life. Anyway, her lives have been shaped by the women characters, especially by her grandmother and by her mother. So if she would have stayed in Vietnam, um, we know that Vietnam and almost all the Asian countries, they follow a patriarchal system, and the male members have dominance over the women. But in her case, unfortunately, she lost her grandfather and her father, and the rest of the lives were geared by her mother and her grandmother, and by her grandmother. And this really could bring out a very astounding change, astounding impact in the life of Tanvi. And Tanvi says that she concludes her tale by paying tribute to her mother and grandmother, and how the lives of women were shaped by the other women characters, and how women can act as a strong sinew or binding force among mutually. So this is the final takeaway from this, from Tanley's story. That Tanley's story, for the past few minutes, we were actually I was sharing a few important aspects from Tanley's story. And the thing that we gathered from Tanley's story is that the collaboration of the women members in the family, and how they work together, how they strive together, how they overcome the obstacles, challenges, adversities together. And we could find a sense of unity and harmony working behind the family members, which cannot be elaborated and explained by terms of riches, money. But more importantly, what Tandy teaches, or her story teaches the readers, is that we need to live harmoniously. We need to overcome the challenges and obstacles. We have to shed the fear of privileges and entitlement. We have to bind ourselves with a positive energy, implacable optimism, astounding courage, astounding her unbelievable determination. And with this, we can really bring out change, not only in our own lives, but also we can make change in the lives of the community. So thank you for your patient listening, and I'm much sure that my humble presentation could shed light on the few important aspects related to Chanley's My Immigration Story. Thank you so much.